Hi, this is Dania, and this is another divinely delivered video. And on this video, I will be talking about the black toxic narcissistic mother and how you should be aware of her. The reason why I want to talk about this topic is because a lot of black women have went through the same things that I have went through. They have also experienced the same type of circumstances that I experienced. And I just really wanted to shed light on this abuse and basically open up and tell more of my story of the abuse that I went through and how I was scapegoated by my black mother. Because my story is one of bravery, it's one of encouragement, it's one of healing, and it's one of truth. Because I am a testimony, I am a survivor, and I just want to let people who are going through this abuse or who have escaped it that they're not alone in their journey. So, as I was saying, I want to talk about how you should be aware of the black toxic narcissistic mother. Now, growing up in my childhood home, my mother, she ran it with an iron fist. And in my community, in the black community, I noticed that a lot of black women, they're overdramatic and they really don't understand how to voice themselves in a civilized manner. A lot of them are materialistical, they're moody, and at times they could, come across as unstable. But even in society as a whole, not now I'm not talking about race right now, but we have so many women walking around with unchecked emotional, mental, and spiritual issues that it's not even funny. If anything, it's quite conspicuous. But a lot of these things, they take root in a woman's childhood. They're the result of, many women experiencing abuse, molestation, or just being in a broken home with their mother, being the strong, black woman as the head of household. And when I talk about the whole broken home issue, I mean like the strong black woman, the matriarch, she has broken down any male influence in the house. So if you do have your father there, he's an enabler. He's very timid. He doesn't say much. He doesn't want to argue. He just wants peace. He leaves the room. He leaves any chance he gets. Or if your stepfather's in the house, she belittles him, she puts him down. No male role in this type of family structure has a say so. It's whatever the black narcissistic mother say, whatever she say goes. And if it doesn't go, and if somebody wants to stand up to her, here comes the histrionics. Here comes the belligerent attitude. Here comes the abuse, because she is the black narcissistic toxic mother. She will not hesitate to resort to violence, and I mean using them hands. She will do it. So basically, during childhood it's a very precious and fragile time for spiritual and behavioral disorders to really take root and to form in a person. And you know this results in a lot of black women who come from this type of family structure. It results in them trying to find an outlet from the pain they experience in these toxic environments. They may look to drugs, they may look to sex, they may look for addiction. It takes root because they're looking for an outlet, they're looking for some way out. They're looking for something to fill the void that they feel inside their soul, inside their heart. And they can't go to their mom because the mom is the one who is abusing them. The mom is the one who's belittling them. The mom is the one who's, bullying them. The mom is the one who's basically causing this big hole to take form and has been causing it since they were little children. And 9 times out of 10, The women from this type of structure, the matriarch, the head of the household, black mother, she will recant stories of how she was scarred and how she was done wrong throughout her whole life. So she lives in this perpetual state of, I got to get them before they get me. You know, and that goes for anybody and everybody. And her toxicity is basically like a raging forest fire looking to consume anything that's in its path. That's why from this type of family dynamic comes a lot of people pleasers and comes a lot of flying monkeys. Because nobody wants to be in their forest fire, so to speak. Nobody wants to grab a water hose and put it out. If anything, they want to add gasoline to the fire because they're too scared to actually stand up and speak the truth in this type of dynamic. Because she has trained them from an early age that when you tell truth or you speak your opinion or you voice your opinion or say how you feel or what you think, you will get punished. You will get patronized. You will get demonized. You will get put down, so to speak. She also doesn't want her daughters being better than her or doing better than her. And any ambitions or dreams that her daughters may, open up to her about or try to, add her in on because, in society, we always think that we can tell our mothers everything. We want our mother to be included in everything. And actually, to be honest, when you're in a healthy relationship with your mother, that's how it should be. You should want to include your mother in everything. You should want to, call on the phone and tell her, your life plans and what you want to do. But when you're dealing with a narcissistic mother, you cannot tell her your goals or aspirations because she will shoot them down. She will quickly shoot them down. She'll take them from you, i.e., case in point. When I was 18, I wanted to go to college. I wanted to go to nursing school because I seen myself in a career where I was helping people, where I was, providing a helping hand and a loving hand to people who really needed the help. I wanted to be a nurse. Now, during this time, I'm going to backtrack a little bit. I had just graduated the year earlier when I was 17. And when I was 17, my mother kicked me out. She kicked me out and she dropped me off at a homeless shelter. December of 2011. Yeah, December 2011, she kicked me out and she had my sister. It was her and my sister that drove me to a homeless shelter in the cold. She kicked me out on the street. My mother didn't think I was going to graduate, but to her surprise, I did graduate. But that's another story for a different day. So during this time I was 18, I had my own little apartment. I was trying to do the best that I can, trying to work or whatever. And me, stupidly, I was on the phone with my mother and I was telling her how I wanted to go to school, I wanted to go to college, I wanted to get a trade, I wanted to go to nursing school, and I wanted to make something out of my life. My mother asked me, she said, well, what do you plan to go to school for? Me, ignorantly, I told her that I want to go to nursing school. My mother quickly shot it down. She told me that she didn't think that it was right for me. She told me that I don't need to go to nursing school. So me, foolishly, I told her, I said, well, they do have other courses over there. She said, well, what other courses do they have? I said, well, they have culinary. She quickly said, well, I need to go to culinary because she doesn't think that nursing is good for me. And me, stupidly, I agreed with her. I don't know why I agreed with her. But by me being a scapegoated daughter and coming from this type of narcissistic, abusive system, I always, even when I was older, before I went, no contact, I always was looking for my mother's approval. No matter how small the task was, no matter how big the task was. So when she told me that I should go to culinary school, I quickly agreed because I wanted her approval. Now, I'm going to flash forward right now in time with me doing more research on this topic. She she fits the protocol of a typical toxic narcissistic mother. And toxic narcissistic mothers can never have their daughters showing signs that they're smarter, they're prettier, they want to be more independent, they want to be more successful. Instead of them doing as a normal, healthy mother would do and try to, you know, encourage their daughters to go for their dreams, go for their aspiration goals, go for their goals, they're going to sabotage them and tear them down. They're going to discourage them from being the best that they could be. Because in reality, the black toxic narcissistic mother is jealous of her daughter. She's envious of her daughter. She wants to take from her daughter. She wants to control her daughter. She wants to use her daughter for as much supply as she can. So if you're the scapegoat like me, because all throughout my life, she always was telling people I was crazy. She was always telling people I was a problem child. She always was telling people that something was wrong with me, that I had the devil in me. She always was telling people that. So in reality, if I would have went to school for a nurse and became successful, everything that she said about me, it would have been a lie. And whenever the daughters that's in this type of structure, they make accomplishment, the narcissistic mother normally mock them or they downplay them. They normally use competitive tactics to ensure that the daughters know that they are the big kahuna on the beach. My mother would do that. If I say I'm making $12.50, my mom say, "Well, I'm making $12.75." If I went and got me a car, she'll say, "Well, she paid hers off." If I go get my nails done, she'll go get her nails and her feet done. If I was to go, go make a sandwich, she'll make two. It was just craziness. But growing up, I never really, thought something was wrong with this. But then I would look at how her and my aunt would act towards each other. And it was always show for show. I got this. Look at what you got. My aunt would make fun of my mom, talk about my mom, put my mom down. My mom would make fun of my aunt, talk about. It was just a back and forth pettiness. And one thing about the black toxic narcissistic mother, she's very petty. She really is. But at the same time, she wants you to quote unquote respect her, even though she's being petty and she's being childish a lot of the time. You really can't have a conversation with her because in doing so, with you having a conversation with her, she's uninterested in you. She wants to keep the conversation on her. And if you were to try to go to her for, advice or something, instead of her giving you proper advice as a mother would, the black toxic narcissistic mother is going to belittle you. She's going to patronize you and she's going to talk down to you and make you feel like you're small. That's all she's going to do. Because in reality, the narcissistic mother doesn't know how to be a mother. She's not a mother. She's more of a competitive woman next door, a woman across the street, but she's your mother. And truth be told, these narcissistic mothers, they don't know how to be mothers. That's why they're always in a perpetual state of competitiveness. They're always petty. They're always looking to dominate and control. Because in reality, these type of women don't know who they are. And they're only really emulating what was taught to them by their mothers. So there you have a generational curse, setting taking place. And once I did, grow up into a young adult, into a young lady, into a young woman, I really seen how badly the relationship with my mother and me, how badly it actually destroyed the way I viewed other women. And how the friendships that I had with other women, how, how they really deteriorated at the first sign of wrongdoing or the first, disagreement. If she didn't agree with something that I wanted or I liked, I was quick to cut her off. It was very easy and simple for me to just cut people off blatantly. Because another thing that my mother instilled in us was that we didn't have no friends. She instilled in us that, women from our family structure, they can't trust other women. That's another thing that the black toxic narcissistic mother instills into her daughter, that women can't be trusted. Don't have women friends. Don't have friends at all, because you can't trust nobody. It's only you and yourself. Don't depend on no man either, because it's just you and yourself. Make sure you independent. They always promote this independence. So once I did go no contact and I stepped away from this family structure, I look back and I seen how much damage that my mother actually caused, how much disruption in my life that she actually placed there with her simple words. And my mom was the type of mom that she would always repeat herself over and over and over again. So basically, in a way, the narcissistic mother programs their children. If you repeat something long enough, you repeat it over and over again, then it will be your reality. Because whether we like to believe it or not, there is power in your words. The narcissistic mother acts like she doesn't like her daughters. When she's in private with her daughters, she acts like she doesn't like them. Me and in my situation, I can honestly say, like, I felt like my mother hated me. But she would always, when we were out in public, she would always gloat and, present me to other people. Oh, this is what my daughter's doing. Look how she's doing. And I'm so proud of her. She would always express how she was so proud of me. But behind closed doors and to the family, system, she would put me down. She would belittle me. She would treat me as if I was crazy. She would treat me as if I was just, wasn't going to amount to nothing, like I was stupid or something. And it seemed like she always tried to instill this fear in me. And not only in me, but also in my sisters too. That we would always, revere her and we would respect her role as mother. And that's another thing that I noticed about these black toxic narcissistic mothers. They always want respect. They always need people to respect them. Or you're gonna respect me, and you the daughter, and I'm the mom. And it's an endless respect, respect, respect. When in reality, once I did go no contact and I got away from that whole system, I really realized that a lot of people didn't like her. A lot of people don't like the narcissist. They really can't stand to be around the narcissist. A lot of people who are around the narcissist, they're most likely benefiting from the narcissist, or the narcissist is doing stuff for them, so they're basically reaping the rewards of being around the narcissist. But if these people really had a way out to not deal with the narcissist, or didn't have to deal with the narcissist, they wouldn't deal with the narcissist. And few people who are in these type of family dynamics, they rarely go no contact. So if you have with no contact from the narcissist, consider yourself lucky, because a lot of people normally don't get out alive from the narcissist. They normally stay entangled in this dangerous web of deceit their whole life. And a lot of people normally, they don't go no contact or start pulling away until they're in their 50s, their 60s, and their 70s. And by that time, the damage and the programming is already done. You still have time during this age, but it's best for you that once you realize the symptoms and you see the signs of how toxic your mother is, or your father is, or anybody else that is a narcissist, once you see the first signs of it, it's best for you just to run away and go no contact, because you're going to be saving yourself a lot of, spiritual abuse, a lot of emotional abuse, a lot of physical abuse, a lot of mental abuse. You really will be saving yourself the trauma from. And another thing that I would notice about my mother is that she would always, whenever I did make small accomplishments, or, whenever I did try to present my choices of my life, or, stuff that I've seen as, things that were worthy of, admiration, she would always, mock them, mock my choices. She would always mock them, or she'll downplay, the accomplishments that I did make. She would make it seem like it was no big deal. Or if I had a life circumstances that happened to me that was, kind of depressing, or it was kind of, or if I had like an unfortunate circumstance happen to me, she would, I remember her telling me one time, like, the world doesn't revolve around you, and this not about you. And it was like, looking back, it was just kind of like, what is she, when it was all going on, when she was telling me that, I was like, wow, like, I'm not making it be about myself. What is she talking about? But that's what the narcissistic mother does, because she doesn't want you having no attention. She doesn't want nobody running over to your aid and say, hey, are you okay? She wants all the attention on her. She doesn't like all that emotional type stuff. She doesn't like you, showing emotions. She doesn't like you showing emotions, because when you show emotions to the narcissistic mother, it really shows her how whacked off she is as a person, because she doesn't have those same emotions. She doesn't have the crying and the love and the want. She doesn't have none of that. So when you're sitting up there and you're crying, she's gonna look at you with a repulsed, look on her face, because one, she doesn't understand the emotions that you're displaying, and two, the emotions that you're explaining, that you're expressing, they have been long gone. So basically, you're talking to a hollow shell of a person. And three, she just likes to maintain control of every circumstance that's happening in and around her. So if you do have something that happened to you, she doesn't want you having no attention. She wants to have all the supply that she possibly can. So by you having a circumstance happen to you that was unfortunate or that was depressive, she doesn't want to hear it. She doesn't want to talk about it, because you're taking away her supply. You're taking away the limelight off of her, so to speak. And another thing that I have noticed based off my own personal circumstance is that many of these women, they're jealous of the daughter's relationship with their father. And this happened to me. They will accuse the father of the things that they themselves are actually doing, to try to, brainwash the daughter, to turn the daughter, to manipulate, to control, to deceive the daughter, to try to turn the daughter against her father. And this results in the daughter not being able to trust men, or being able to have a healthy relationship with one. So the first relationship that a daughter normally has is, with a male, is with her father. But you have the black toxic narcissistic mother, since she got done wrong by the male figure, the father figure, she's going to perpetrate and basically pervert the relationship that the daughter had or has with her father, because she doesn't like, she's, in a way, she's jealous of the relationship that the daughter has with the father, because once again, she wants all the control, she wants all the supply. She doesn't like the relationship that the daughter, has with the father. Like, case in point, like with me, my mom, like my dad, he wasn't the best guy. I mean, but it didn't work out, basically. And I had a strong love for my father. And my mother, she's seen it from an early age. So every chance that she got, she would always tear down my father. She would always call him names. She would always, demean him, try to turn me against him. And it was, growing up, it really made me depressed and it really made me sad because really didn't understand what she was doing. But now that I'm older and I have with no contact, I see that when you have a narcissistic mother, that's what she does because she's very jealous. She's very envious. She doesn't like nothing healthy. She likes everything unhealthy. She's very histrionic. She's very dramatic. My father had told me, oh, some years back, he told me back when I was older, of course, he was like, my mom had always been jealous of me, even when I was a little girl, because the attention that my father would show me. My mother didn't treat me like I was the daughter to my father. She treated me like I was the other woman. And that's another thing that a narcissistic mother would do. Instead of her looking at you and your father as a father-daughter relationship, she'll get jealous and she'll look at you like you're the other woman because she wants all the attention. She wants all the supply and she wants all the control. I know it sounds sick and I know it sounds crazy, but if you are a daughter in this type of dynamic, you will understand fully what I'm saying, especially if you're scapegoated. Normally, the narcissistic mother, she secretly despises her daughter showing any ounce of independence because they fear that their child will leave the nest. Back to what I said before, anybody who hangs around a narcissist, normally they're getting something out of the relationship from the narcissist. It could be she's paying the car payments. It could be she's providing a roof over their head. It could be, you know, she's babysitting the children or something. They're getting something from the narcissist. So if you're showing that you're independent and you don't need the narcissist, they're going to see you as a threat. They're going to see you as somebody that's harder to control. They're going to see you as somebody who'll blow the whistle, so to speak, because you don't need a narcissist. You're going to stand up to the narcissist. If the narcissist is telling you crazy stuff or she's trying to belittle you or patronize you, you're going to stand up for yourself because the narcissist isn't paying none of your bills. You're not eating out the palm of the narcissist's hand. You're eating out of your own palm, your own hand. You're doing for your own self. And a lot of your siblings, a lot of your enablers, a lot of your flying monkeys, they're dependent on a narcissist for something. It could be emotional support, which I think that's kind of funny because these people don't have no emotions. It could be financial, but I think the number one priority really is financial. According to my experience, it's financial. The narcissist is paying their way to respect, so to speak. And honestly, many black women from this type of background are victimized by their own mother, physically, mentally, emotionally, and especially spiritually. Because the black toxic narcissistic mother doesn't show her daughter how to be a virtuous woman. If anything, she shows her how to be the opposite of a virtuous woman. She shows her how to be a woman who is loud, disruptive, sassy, histrionic, volatile, belligerent, controlling, materialistic, worldly. Worldly, basically. Long story. That's a good way to put it. Worldly. And this abuse doesn't even stop when you're older. Instead, it gets worse. And the maternal narcissist, she will only get worse the older she gets. And like I said, when you get older, it doesn't even stop. It actually escalates to the point to where if you're married and you have children, she will try to run you and your household. She'll try to run your household. She'll try to insert herself into your household. Case in point, I'm talking about my experience here. My mother, I was a scapegoated daughter. I was the black sheep. She labeled me the black sheep. She would never call my phone. She would only call my husband's phone. She didn't even have a relationship with me, but she would always call my husband's phone. When I approached her about it, the first thing she threw in my face was that she didn't want my husband. Oh, I don't want your husband. I'm just calling him to talk to him. And when I approached her about how she doesn't talk to me, she doesn't call me, she turned the whole situation around to make it seem like it was nothing wrong with her calling my husband and not calling me. I was manipulated. I was controlled. Okay. Even though I was an adult and I was married with a husband, she still wanted to run my household. Okay. My mother still see me as a child. And the narcissistic mother will always see you as a child. Okay? Many siblings in this environment normally are under her spell. Even the community that you grew up in, they're also involved in this whimsical of disordered nonsense. Case in point, i.e., when I was younger, my mother had me outside in the front yard and she was beating on me in front of the whole neighborhood. They had cars stop and look and gooseneck. You think anybody stopped her from doing what she was doing? No. They had phones in their hands. They was pointing. Window down looking like this was a neighborhood brawl. It was sad. It was so embarrassing to have the whole neighborhood just gloat and look at my mother beat on me like that over something that I don't even remember why. Which with my mother, it didn't take much to set her off. She was very histrionic and dramatic. She'd put her hands on me, and when I would try to stand up for myself and say no, she'd get on the phone and call everybody. Let everybody know what was going on in the house to shame me even more. So the abuse that I experienced at the hands of my black narcissistic mother wasn't only physical, it was mental and emotional too, and spiritual. And everybody in my household would put her on a pedestal. When I went to my siblings and I tried to, speak up or say something about what was going on, they'll sweep it under the rug. They'll blame it on me, a 10 or 11-year-old. And when I got older, after I got married and I, had my own house and stuff, I tried to talk to my sister, the one I thought I could go to, but she was just a flying monkey in disguise. And I tried to tell her that the way that, Big Mama raised us was wrong. That I got emotional scars from it. What did she do? All she told me was, Mama did the best she could. And, that's all she knew. That's all she knows is abuse. That's what your enabler is going to tell you. They're going to tell you all she knows is abuse. Because in reality, the one who's telling you that is a flying monkey. And they're a fly on the wall, and they're going to tell you, they're going to go back and run and tell the narcissist everything you're saying. In reality, that flying monkey that you're talking to, they're screwed up in their own head too. They got their own problems going on. And instead of them addressing it and doing self-analyzation and looking at where the problem's at, they want to sweep it under the rug, and they want to give you some lame brain excuse like, oh, well, God gave me a family, so, I got to deal with this. Not I. I'm not dealing with it. That's why I went no contact. That's why I'm a strong advocate for no contact. Because the abuse that I suffered at the hands of my black narcissistic mother, it screwed me up. It really did. And a lot of women a lot of heads of the household, women like this, they run their household with an excessive amount of pride. And my mother would always let us know and let my stepdaddy know about her achievements and how she did everything, and nobody else did nothing. And without her, everything would fall. And she, even the way that she viewed God was warped, in my opinion. she didn't raise us. When you come from this type of household, when this type of structure, you don't get raised on how to be a wife, because she wasn't raised, because they, the women from this household, they don't know how to be submissive wives who, you know, run the household in love and humility. Instead, she doesn't even know how to be a reasonable wife, or she doesn't even know how to be a virtuous wife. She's the complete opposite. So when you're in this type of structure, and the daughters get married, she'll try to instead win over her daughter's husband and try to turn her daughter's husband against her. Which is, it sounds crazy, right? Your mother tries to turn your husband against you. What happened to me? My mom tried to turn my husband against me. She really did. And when I approached her about it, she, of course, I didn't say nothing. That's what they're going to do. They're not going to own up to it, because the narcissist doesn't know how to own up to the wrong that they've done. They're going to shift the blame. My aunt even told me that she didn't like my husband because he was messy. When in reality, how's my husband being messy when he's just telling me the truth on the lies and the perpetration that my mother is doing to me behind my own back? Who talks about their own daughter to their own daughter's husband? And when you come from that type of dynamic, the narcissistic mother will even try to make herself seem more attractive and pleasing to the daughter's husband in an attempt to sabotage the daughter's marriage. Normally in this type of setting, the black maternal narcissist loves to attack. And when you lash out at the abuse that she is administering, she will deem you as a crazy or as a problem child. And that happened to me. She deemed me as crazy and a problem child. And the thing with my mom, she loved to play the victim to outside people. I would never get introduced by my name. She would never say, "Hey, this is Dania, this is my middle child." She'll say, "This is my problem child." That's the child with issues. When in reality, I was only lashing out because the environment that I was in was very toxic. It was very depressing. I was so isolated growing up, being in this type of environment. And you being in this type of neighborhood, and nobody stops the abuse. They just stop their cars and gawk and look with their phones in their hand. And a lot of black women, just like when I approached my sister about the abuse that we suffered, they believe, a lot of women that come from this type of environment believe that that's just how mama is, or you only get one mama. Or they throw in that scripture, well, you got to honor thy mother, thy father. But is tolerating abuse really honoring a abusive mother or father? It doesn't make sense. They're going against the word of the Lord. They're not even following the Most High. Because in reality, the black narcissistic mother, she views herself as God. She's your God. She tells God what to do. Because my mother would use God as a weapon for me. And I feel like society, in society, we're really sweeping under the rug, and a lot of black women don't want to admit that they're bullied and victimized and abused by their own mothers, resulting in them having severe emotional and mental and spiritual problems. They don't want to admit that. Nobody wants to admit that their own mom bullies them. But I'm here to admit that my mom bullied me and I got away with no contact. You get brainwashed from an early age that you have to have these people in your life. For what? They're not providing no warmth to you. They're not providing no love to you. They're not providing growth for you. They're taking from you. They're not giving nothing to you. They don't want to see you with nothing. They hate you. Actions speak louder than words. And a lot of women who stay in these environments when they get older, they die spiritually. That's the cause and effect. That's the end result of this generational curse. The only way for you to break this type of generational curse is for you to go no contact from these people. The black toxic narcissistic mother will never change. She's only going to get worse with age. She's going to try to sabotage you. She's going to try to make you look crazy. And if you do slip up and have an episode like me, if you go to the psych ward, she's going to use it against you. She's always going to bring it up. If you have children, your narcissistic mother is going to try to take your children from you. She doesn't see you as being worthy of having anything. She doesn't even want you to live. She wants you to die. My mother would tell me when I was younger how she should have aborted me, how I was just going to kill myself like my cousin did. She would always talk about me killing myself and how I was going to never be nothing. Like she wanted me to die. But little did I know she was just breaking me down mentally, emotionally, and physically. But she didn't break me down spiritually because the Most High is still with me. He still got his hand on me. And I'm going to be vocal about this abuse. In order for you to see the light of the Most High at the end of the tunnel, you have to go no contact. I've been no contact for 3 years and my life has gotten better. I feel like I feel the Most High more. I feel the Lord more. He has blessed me more. Not only physically. I'm not even worried about the physical aspect of his blessing. He's blessed me spiritually. He's blessed me mentally. He's blessed me emotionally. Because the Most High told me I had to cut her off. And it was very hard. I won't even lie to you. It's going to be hard for you to go no contact. But you got to do what you got to do because your soul is on the line. Many women normally stay in this toxic relationship with their mother because it gives them a high. Toxic relationships are addictively high. It's like you're taking a drug. The up and down, the highs and the lows of the abuse. It's basically a high. A lot of abused women can't leave their abusers because it's something about the high, the addictive nature of it. And it results in the daughter becoming addicted to negativity and drama in other relationships. When you get old, like I spoke about before, when I got older and I was in contact with my mother, I seen how the abuse that she inflicted on me, how it affected the way I seen and viewed other women. I didn't know how to have meaningful relationships with other women. I looked at other women as competition. I looked at other women as competitors. I looked at other women as predators. But what's the moral of my video? What am I getting to? What am I pointing to? The black maternal narcissist, the black toxic narcissistic mother is not something that should be normalized in our society. And sadly it is. And it is something that should be looked at as it is narcissism. And honestly, nobody wants to admit that their mother is a monster. But sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And you should know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You have to realize that there is a problem. No matter what you do, it's never going to be right. Because your mother has emotional issues. She has issues. And the only thing she does is project whatever she's feeling on inside, she puts it on you. And if you manage to go no contact like I did, I'm pretty sure she got another person to fill your shoes. And they're in the back of their mind hoping you come back so you can take up the blunt of this abuse. But don't go back, go no contact. But like I was saying, it is hard in the beginning. And it was hard for me, but once my brain said enough, I got out of there. I couldn't do it anymore. And it's going on 3 years, and I'm happy. I don't have no drama in my life. I don't have no misery in my life, because one thing with the narcissist, misery love company. So I just wanted to come and just really talk about this topic. I'll be talking about more topics later on. I want to give all glory to Christ, and I want to give all praises to the Most High God in heaven, the God of Israel. And I thank you so much. And this was Daniel, and this has been a lovely episode. Until next time on Divinely Delivered, have a good night.